if the presidential candidates could learn to be that to the point, it would be it would be awesome, wouldn't it? All right. I believe our final speaker, other than someone from the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers, is State Representative Max Abramson. They've pulled together a bit of a spreadsheet. Now, this is a nonpartisan event, and there are some of you who probably don't know that Ed Nail is actually a Democrat who once upon a time ran to be chairman of the Democratic Party. Got beat by a guy named Ray Buckley. Anybody ever hear of him? Oh, my head. Anyway, so there are state reps who pretend to be something that they're not, and there are state reps who are everything they pretend to be. And Max Abramson, a state rep from, is it Seabrook? Seabrook and Hampton Falls, is here to tell us about his efforts and the efforts of others to chronicle the votes of the rascals under the Golden Dome, to shed light on who is what they say they are and who's just another politician. Max, why don't you come to the stage?
Thank you very much. I'm Max Abramson. I serve as a state representative from Hampton Falls and Seabrook, and I'm honored to serve. We just got Rio Tilton, a conservative, lifelong Republican, elected in that district. And people didn't know if he would win or not, or if he would win either town. And in fact, he not only won Seabrook and Hampton Falls, but he won by a margin of 68 to 32 against a state income tax supporting Democrat named Elena Hearn. But Elena Hearn, at least, is honest. She admits what she's for. She's for Common Core. She's for Obamacare. She's for gun control. She is 100% pro-abortion. But there are a lot of politicians who run as Republicans who are not Republicans. On December 3rd, on Organization Day, in a backroom deal, a lot of the rhinos, Republicans in name only, made a deal with the Democrats and got Sean Jasper elected to Speaker of the House. And Jasper and his supporters, who we call Jaspercrats, if you actually look at their voting records, they're not voting with the platform. They're not voting for smaller government. They're not voting for lower taxes. They're not voting for decentralized control. They're not voting to protect our constitutional rights. And they're not voting pro-life, pro-gun, or anything else. In fact, we've noticed that they're voting with the Democrats more often than they're voting with the platform. Now, when I ran, my green campaign signs all said smaller government, local control. That's what I ran on. I ran as a platform Republican, and I vote as a platform Republican. My score is over 90%. And we have a number of reps who have scores of 100%. Yet most of Jasper's leadership team have scores around 33% or 41%. The Jasper's own Republican majority leader has a score of 46%. He literally is voting with the Democrats more than they're voting with us. And we've had a lot of good fiscally conservative Republicans go around proposing platform bills to committee. And Flanagan has signed the blue sheet over and over and over again against the Republican platform. He's signed on for bigger government, more control, more top-down government. The Jaspercrats and Democrats have voted again and again and again in committee, on the House floor, and they have voted away our due process rights, a right to a probable cause hearing under SB 124. They voted to allow the Fish and Game on its own without legislative authorization or oversight to arbitrarily raise hunting and licensing fees. They slid that in a bill without any notice and slid it right through on the House floor in a separate bill that was completely non-germane. They've done this again and again and again and again, voting against us. Now, if you look at the yellow sheets over there, you'll see the scores of these rhinos that range from about 33% to about 55%. This is the entire leadership team that Jasper has put together. Some of them used to vote conservative. Some of them used to vote for smaller government and used to vote with us. Now they're voting with the Democrats. That's how they're getting these coalitions of 220 some votes to 140 votes. There are only about 140 Republicans who are voting consistently for smaller government, free markets, free market competition, and healthcare competition. The remainder are almost always going with the Democrats. So I'd like it if you folks would pick up one of the yellow sheets in the back at the front table where you come in and look at their actual scores and go on to nhra.org and look at their actual scorecards and see how they're actually voting. And next September, primary them, and if they win their primary, Work as hard as you can to get them out in November. Much better to have a Democrat than to have a completely phony politician who says that they're a Republican and they're not. Ed Nail was talking about voter fraud a minute ago, and there's no greater voter fraud than a Democrat who runs as a Republican and then goes back to Concord and votes with the other side. Thank you very much.
Crop tape.